So if I fold this here, this is Aragami. We're throwing some chairs at it this week, just like I threw that little ball of paper. This is from Lince Works. It's developed on the Unity engine. You can pick it up for about 20 of your local currency. What is it? Aragami is a third-person stealth game that casts you as an undead assassin. The power to control the shadows, teleport to any shadow, become invisible, materialize weapons, and even summon a shadow dragon to infiltrate the enemy ranks and dispose of your targets. And of course, the devs did send us some keys for this, so thanks a lot for that. But let's kick off the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's garbage, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, 4 chairs means that it's amazing. We also got our categories of doom, makes the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So, Ven, I think you need to educate us about some things, don't you, in the Makes with the Working section?
Hey, man. Yeah. We kind of got to get this out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because we got some basic facts. 1 through 3. First fact, ninjas are mammals. Ninjas fight all the time. That's your second fact. Third, but not last, the purpose of a ninja is to flip out and kill people. That said, over here on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS, which is the best LTS, box of business, running an 8150, powered by a 980, displayed at the 4Ks. Ran pretty good, Brad. It absolutely did. This thing is nicely multi-threaded, often using 100% of the GPU and CPU. It's kind of rare to see that. Now, if I'm just running this at your regular low resolution like 1080p, this thing's hovering between 75 and 120 FERPs at 1080 all day long. UHD 3840 by 2160. With the 980, it kind of hovers in the mid-30s to low 30s. Rarely ever see the 20s. But, kind of went back to 1080p with that. It does genuinely seem to like the AMD physical coriness. It's not like truthiness. It's coriness with more truthiness in it. However, he was like, Jordan's like, it might not run so good on mine, but he'll definitely get us back next week when we're covering Mad Max. I didn't have any problems with it. And it's a Unity game. That's rare. So there you go, 4 chairs.
And because Ven brought this up, Mad Max is going to be delayed for another 6 months. Thanks a lot, Brad. But yeah, if you're on the Intel system, maybe don't run it at UHD. I haven't actually tested it with the latest update that seems to improve performance for a lot of people. But before I was averaging about 25 frames a second, so I knocked this down to 1080p, and I was getting better performances with the update, averaging above 70. I saw one dip to like mid 60s. But as of 5:35 on October 14th, yesterday, they released a little update that broke the game for me and a few other people. You had to copy some libsteam libraries from another Unity game to get that up and running. But yeah, because you're breaking your game with random updates, I gotta ding you 2 chairs for that, especially the night before we're about to, throw chairs at it. So you get 2 chairs on the Fedora 24 64-bit with the i7 6700K and the GTX 980.
Yeah, I actually have some origami. It's a sheep. Meh. Whatever.
I thought it was a fucked up whale. Go ahead.
This is not origami. This is aragami. But we'll get into the Japaneseness a bit later. There must have been 2 updates yesterday while I was sleeping, because when I woke up today and I saw Jordan's notes and I started Steam and there was an update coming down, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm guessing the game won't work. Try to start it. It worked. So yeah, they probably fixed that while I slept. At 1080p with the 1080, with the Gigabyte G1 1080, and the FX 8370E overclocked at 4.2 gigahertz on Ubuntu Mate 1604, I don't think it ever dipped below 90 FERPs for me. It usually averages like 130 to 140. If you're looking at a wall at one edge of the map, you can actually get it up to 200. That was awesome. But yeah, no, it averages very decently, especially for a Unity game. 130, 140.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So for me, it gets 4 chairs.
Cigarette flashbacks.
Yeah, or Wasteland. Well, that's 3 chairs for Makes with the Working. Up next is the Shiny and the Sounds. Ven, did it shine? Hey, listen, you got to answer.
Hey, man. Listen is what I'm saying. Here's the thing, man. something about this game. Normally with the sounds, first thing we do is we note that and we put on Slayer, as is the tradition. But, there's not any real background noise to note. So I was definitely happy with that. I mean, outside of budget Navy, she was rambling on a bit much for my taste. I really dig the style. I love the animation style of this. Just right into my eye pussies. I mean, we were talking when Jordan and I were playing it. I had the same thought. I was like, yeah, this is what Borderlands would look like with Japanese DLC. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. I mean, it is something to behold, something to enjoy. The animation rigging, it's done very well, just like the transitions with the animation. Loved it. Loved it. Slick. This is a pro job. Definitely done right. However, not enough to ding at a chair on this. But we all totes noticed that Mr. Ninja Face already had that sword in the beginning when he got his sword, and you didn't go back and fix that. But that's just picking the nicks, man. Sounds good for what sounds there are, but, it's a stealth game. You don't really want anything going on in the background as you're sneaking around trying not to get discovered. So, nothing to knock it on, because it is fucking gorgeous. Solid 4.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game. I'm a fan of the cel-shaded aesthetic. I can never get that fucking right. It's like I have some sort of speech impediment. But I also like the main character's design a lot. He kind of reminds me of Raziel from Legacy of Kain, which makes me sad because we're never going to see another Legacy of Kain game. Teardrop. But the sounds are there. You get the odd like flutes or the chimes or whatever, your standard faux Japanese sounding music. And the voice acting is kind of there. I skipped past a lot of the cutscenes because I just didn't really care about what these people had to say.
There's an achievement for that.
There is. I got it because Ben has it too. Because again, it's kind of hard to get into the story, but that's not here nor there with the shiny and the sounds. The sound design is pretty well done because your little guards will talk, and they'll go, "Oh, what's this?" And they'll go over there and either fall into your trap or see you, despite the fact that you're adequately hidden because the game has very odd line of sight. But beyond that, it's very, very good looking. It's decent sounding. I want to see more games that look like this. We have a dearth of pretty looking games on Linux. So I'm glad this is going against that trend. 4 chairs.
Yeah, this is yet another game which very clearly focuses on the aesthetics, and it shows, sometimes at the expense of functionality. But more on that later. The girl who summoned figure out exactly how to represent the uncanny valley in a cel-shaded game. While that is commendable, yes, I don't really think that was their intention. Thankfully, she's mostly only present during quote-unquote set pieces and cutscenes. And something else I'm thankful for, the developers must have had the self-awareness necessary to evaluate their cutscenes, because they even put an achievement for when you skip one of those cutscenes the very first time. But I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. The game looks very good. Platinum blonde sorceress lady aside, the quote-unquote Japanese is kept to a minimum, and it's drowned in several layers of synth to possibly mask the non-native Japaneseness of the voice actors. But if I'm being honest, these are all nitpicks, not particularly significant ones at that, so 4 chairs.
All right, that's 4 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is Control. Then, did you feel like you could not be seen, like you were shadow of death in the night?
No, man, I felt like a Shogun samurai, swinging my ninja sword and all that business. When it comes down to the controls, I tried this because I poked it, as I do with a lot of games. I reach over and I was like, X-Clone controller, move thing, and it moved things, so I pick it up. Pleasantly surprised because everything was mapped out of the box very logically. No complaints, nothing to scream at. And this really seemed like the type of game that wanted you to sit back with an experience. And since the controller on the X-Clone is like 9 meters long, and you can wrap it around your house and come back inside, that's just what I did. And it was a bit of all right. But the only complaint I had was your aiming reticule with your right thumb thingy sticky hatty device. Bit sensitive, but in a Unity game, of all things, it had sensitivity adjustments. I was like, yes, I haven't seen this since Victor Fran, which is not a Unity game. Here's the thing, though. with a control, no matter how good you are at the controls, getting killed to death because of animation waiting is real, Brad. It is. I thought Pedro and Jordan were just on about something until it hit me. Because, you're controlling right and you're spending your 10 minutes, stealth noping everyone and you're creeping and using all your controls right. Then you get your last guy and he nopes you because Mr. Ninja Face apparently fucking freezes at the alert animation. And I was like, no, kill, stab, be a good ninja. And then you're just dead, which led to a lot of a control mechanism I like to call Alt F4, which works very well with all Unity games and immediately takes you back to the NES. The NES top. I like that. Desktop, more like the Rage top. But that's a control in the game. I mean, control input works, but that one control mechanic of waiting for that animation, you have to plan ahead for that, or you just might as well just set the controller down and hit Alt F4 and be done with it. But I would give it 3. I mean, that's a serious issue, but not enough to kill my enjoyment.
Yeah, speaking of killing enjoyment, they do like to take their sweet-ass time to execute people, which kind of pisses me off because, yes, it's very lovely animated, it's, very beautifully animated and all. Just step on the back of the guy's knee and stab him in the neck. That's all you really need. And, as always, this is an over-the-shoulder third-person game. Do not play this with the Steam controller. You will have a bad time. I thought that it would be acceptable. It is not. On the Xbox controller, though, it's perfectly fine. One thing that really does bug me about this game is that you need to unlock the ability to hide bodies. Most of the things you would expect in a stealth game are unlockables. You have to play through the game in order to do these basic things that, as a professional murderer of humans, which I'm not claiming I am, I say, you would know what to do. It kind of hurts my Metal Gear Solid brain because I've been playing MGS5, which I'll get into in the fun section. But as for controls, it has some issues. I kind of wish by default the bumper and the trigger were switched for teleporting and creating the shadows, but beyond that, I'll give it 3 chairs. It's good.
Yeah, why do developers think players will enjoy being locked into an animation in a game where you need to be nimble and quickly move /stab /teleport in a teeny tiny amount of time? Several times I had a Getsugatensho thrown at my face while I was furiously trying to move or teleport out of there, but I couldn't because I was stuck looking at the same overlong animation. It's a very good looking animation. It is, don't get me wrong. But after being killed for the umpteenth fucking time, because there's an extra 1 or 2 seconds of animation which serve no other purpose than the developers to stroke their aesthetic prowess all over our faces, I don't give a flying fuck how proficient you are at animating. Still, it's great to see proper control settings in a Unity game. You don't really expect that. And even mouse sensitivity, if you're like me and you like playing these games with a keyboard and a gerbil. Yeah, it's really awesome to see. But there was one other nagging issue. It's whenever you want to pick up a scroll or hide a body once you've unlocked the ability, you have to hold down a button. Why do you have to hold down that button for 2/3 of a second in order to do thing? What happened to just simply hitting the button when you're in front of thing X and having thing Y happen? When did
I think you're grossly overestimating the Unity input system, Pedro.
When did that simple concept, because it's not the first game that does this. There have been several games coming out over the past couple of months that do this. It used to be just hit the button, the thing happens. That's great. When did that become a faux pas in game development? It really irks me, but it's still good to see a Unity game with this degree of customization for the controls and, having controllers actually work out of the box. So for me, it gets 3 chairs.
All right, well, that's 3 chairs for controls. Finally, let's wrap this up. Ben, did you have fun being a stealthy ninja?
I did. You could even say this is a very sneaky game. Fuck both of you. That was a good
very
joke.
Sneaky boy.
Listen, man, you're definitely playing as Mr. Ninja Face on a mission to flip out and kill people because that's what ninja faces do. Well, that's what I did until Jordan himself noted that you can beat levels without going all American Psycho, and honestly, that thought never crossed my mind because, well, never occurred to me. like another game we like to call What is Wrong with Your Face Simulator, you do spend most of your time crouching in the shadows. Unlike What is Wrong with Your Face Simulator, the ability to hide these bodies is something that needs unlocking. Why didn't you let me do that from the start, Brad? It doesn't seem like a goal you should aspire to. It's like, oh, now I know how to make the game easier. Yeah, maybe add more difficulty in the game and take away your ability to hide the bodies. Now, admittedly, I have had quite a bit of fun playing this game in Forever Alone mode, but, an hour in, it kind of makes with the tedious, and getting animation fucked can kill my desire to continue. Why? Checkpoints. Fuck this game and its stupid monkey checkpoints. Right in its ear. I mean, can you get like an extra halfway checkpoint sometime in the levels there, Brad? Seriously? Because I tend to get noped right at the end, and that's followed by an Alt 4. So screw it, just walk away, get away from breaky things, Finn. However, in multiplayer mode, you at least have the hope, nay, the chance of your companion, or companions possibly, unfucking your situation and finishing that level. So even if you both die, worst case scenario, you give each other shite and go back and do it. That kind of works better in a multiplayer setting. In single player, that mechanic is just hella repetitive, and it caused me to close the game more than 30. No, I'm not going to say 30. All right, let's be real. 29.9 times, not 30. I'm lying there. I'm going to have to give this... Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to give this 2 chairs with an asterisk, no doubt, because I think more time spent playing multiplayer, you definitely have something here. And with a few small adjustments, you might even have a proper single-player game.
Yeah, apparently, much like common cats or vampires, ninjas are completely adverse to water. If you get them a little bit wet, they die. They explode. And so honestly, this feels like a prettier and more limited Shodwin. But unlike Shodwin, this has multiplayer to eliminate the monotonousness of the gameplay. I mean, there's a story here somewhere. They try to shovel it down your throats. I'm not really having it. That doesn't interest me at all. Ninja resurrection revenge plot thing. It's been done. If I want to watch that, I'll go to Masterpiece Kung Fu Theater and go enjoy some cheesy 70s schlock. But really, where it lives or dies is the sneaking mechanic, right? And I have to compare it to a much better sneaking game that I played recently, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, where you're encouraged to take your time and scout around and identify all the points and guard patterns and guards. And you can take any number of ways to complete your mission. In this, you just kind of go through process of elimination of finding the one safe path. Because you can't really kill people because they find the bodies really, really quickly, unless, which would be, a little better if you could, I don't know, hide them from the get-go. I don't know. But yeah, it's really just finding the one safe route, because there really is one safe route, and taking it. And it's this frustrating bit of process of elimination, and the lack of checkpoints in this kind of gets annoying. Generally, like, you have to make a decent amount of progress into the level. I would say like either by at least a half or a third before you get the initial checkpoint. And if you screw up and maybe teleport into water when you're trying to teleport to a ledge, you don't want to go all the way back to the very beginning, because you got to wait for people to take their guard routes and stop looking in areas and blah 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 blah. At least Shadowin let you hide the bodies. But in short, this game is pretty, but the stealth feels really limited, which kind of defeats the purpose of this sort of game, to allow you to solve the puzzle of infiltrating this area by whatever means you see fit. Multiplayer does mitigate it, and hopefully we're going to be playing a little bit more of that after we're done recording today. But beyond that, I can only really give it 2 cheers.
Yeah. Undead ninja spirit, which was summoned from beyond the grave in order to save what's-her-face. I can remember her name. And he dies the moment he gets, like, knee-high water. He's just dead. Okay, all right. Fine. Now, I didn't hate Aragami for all my spiels of aesthetics and narratives and mechanics. I like when the aesthetics and the narrative serve to complement the mechanics. I don't like when the aesthetics get in the fucking way of the mechanics and literally take away your agency as a player just so you can look at a fucking animation. Yeah. I get the feeling the game doesn't like me very much, or at least not anywhere near as it seems to like itself. Every single takedown is masterfully executed. It is. Animation-wise, without relying on the glorification that you see in some games. And during each and every single one, the game slows down ever so slightly to ensure that you get a real good look at it. At every chance it gets, the game will take the controls away from the player and ensure we're looking at, admittedly, what is a very well done set piece or a cutscene or what have yous. And the game really wants you to experience it the way the developers want it. Much like Pavilion, what we threw chairs at last week, Aragami is a functional game with a very simple set of mechanics, which is hurt by developers who want the players to witness just how justified their course and animation wasn't a complete waste of money. See that, Dad? You see that? Yeah. Aragami is a power fantasy, but not in the same way that you have power fantasies in other video games. The power fantasy here is not that of the player, but of the animation designer attempting to mask their insecurities. There are games which make failure feel like a challenge, like Enter the Gungeon, Rocket League, Dark Souls. You can find an example of one such game in every genre. In Aragami, failure feels like bullshit. I found myself hitting Alt F4 more than any other single button in this game, and if I'm enjoying quitting out of your game more than, having to replay that goddamn mission all over the fuck again, yeah, you're not looking at a good score. 2 chairs.
Well, that dime store psychology lesson from Pedro aside, that's 2 chairs for the fun segment. We tally all this up, and I was about to call it Shadowin, but it's Aragami. Gets 3 chairs. Final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, maybe multiplayer, maybe we're going to have a bit more fun with that. I think Truggy made a point, and he's like, it's a bit on the short side. And it's got a price tag on it, you're looking at like 20 quid. So, yeah, we're definitely going to see, because there was one thing no one really brought up. This is one of those games like Shadwin, or What Is Wrong With Your Face Simulator, as a new official title, is there is no replayability to this whatsoever.
And for all my awareness of just how insecure some of the people involved in the development of this game are, and it's completely unjustified too. They're very obviously very talented. They just need to stop rubbing it all over my face. But I can still definitely recommend Aragami. Yeah.
There are better stealth games out there. If I want to play a stealth game, I like the Metal Gear Solid approach, where the level is a giant puzzle and there are
or like the original Quake.
Infinite. Yeah, like there's a seemingly infinite number of ways to solve it. This game is not that. It is the most open world railroaded game I don't think I've ever played. I mean, if this sort of thing is your thing, pick it up. It's definitely pretty, but I would wait for it to go on sale. Hey, Asteroid, how's it going?